They call him the cleaner. He moves through the gym like a quiet shadow. A mop over his shoulder, a cloth in the back pocket, a small radio playing soft music from a faded case. The camera catches him from a distance first. Broad shoulders beneath a threadbare jacket, hands rough and steady. He wipes chalk from a barbell, smooths a bench, wipes a smudge from the mirror. Nearby, a cluster of big guys trade jokes between sets. Chalk dust settling like snowfall around their laughs. "Hey, cleaner! You ever lift, bro?" somebody shouts, half rib, half challenge. A few others laugh, the kind of laugh that echoes against plates and iron and makes the cleaner glance up for a half-second, then return to work. He smiles, not in defeat, but like someone who knows something they aren't asked to explain. The title of the scene is already written on the faces around him. He's invisible until he isn't. They don't mean to be cruel. Most of the ribbing is routine, bulked-up bravado, loud enough to be funny. Still, there's a thin edge to it. "Move something for us," a voice dares. "Show us something real," close on his hands as he sets down the mop. The humor in the room is a rolling wave. The cleaner, let's call him Marco, straightens, tucks the cloth into his back pocket, and looks at the barbell nobody seems to touch. It sits there, heavy and lonely, loaded with plates that have been a challenge all morning. They call it the immovable. Guys have tried to shift it. They grunt and groan and then walk away, clapping each other's backs. Marco walks over without fanfare. He doesn't snatch attention. He doesn't puff his chest. He moves with the small confidence of someone who's practiced being overlooked and has learned how to listen. A couple of the regulars hoot. Samantha, who's been filming her own workout, tilts the phone, amused. Mr. Panadol, a coach with a booming voice and a tendency to dramatize, leans in. "You shouldn't even touch that, man. It's not for you." Marco smiles again. He speaks in short, honest sentences, words shaped with a slight accent, but clear and warm. "My mamas say, 1 step at time," he says, almost as if talking to himself. The line lands. It's not a defense. It's a rhythm. Don't go anywhere. This gets good. If you love underdog wins, hit subscribe and stick around. The banter tightens into a thread of dare. Marco moves through the room, not to prove, but to do what needs to be done. He picks up a small cloth, wipes a rusty spot on the bar, checks the collars, shifts his weight to test the floor. The camera cuts quick, playful. A laugh here, a shoulder roll there, the janitor's hands smoothing, inspecting, feeling. He sets his feet deliberately, like someone arranging furniture in a small, crowded house. "Show us you can even rack a plate," one of them jokes. "Move it or mop it, bro." It's mean in the way of men who measure life in weights and swagger. But everyone's performance is only half theater. Underneath the jokes, a question. Does technique matter at all when the plates weigh more than your ego? Marco demonstrates instead of arguing. He picks up a small plate, nothing dramatic, places it on a low rack. He hums under his breath, a soft cadence, then hoists a heavy trash bag and shifts it like a farmer carrying a bundle. Not showy, effective. He plants his feet, bends his knees with quiet precision, breathes out, and lifts. The moves are small, the kind of repetition that comes from years of steady work, not a season of training programs. They laugh again, but there's a flicker of curiosity now. The bodybuilders, who once traded raw brute force for instant satisfaction, watch a man who has built a different kind of strength, steadiness. A camera on Samantha zooms in on his eyes, calm, focused. Anatoly, the host who has been filming the gym for his channel and sponsorship, raises an eyebrow. He's part amused, part intrigued. This is a clip that could end 2 ways. Small beats. Mini hooks. A glance at the bar. Marco's set jaw. A subtle nod to the host. The editing tightens. The room's rhythm accelerates. Music plays under the chatter. Plates clink. A towel is dropped in a corner. Someone mutters, "You really gonna touch that?" Marco doesn't answer with words. He approaches the loaded bar, the immovable, slow and steady. The camera slows with him. Sound falls away. The background hum dims. Now we listen to quiet details, the scrape of rubber on metal, the whisper of a grip, the soft exhale of a man preparing to move, something meant to stay. He places his hands on the knurling. His fingers find a place. He sets his feet, a little wider than shoulder width, toes slightly angled. No circus theatrics, no chest beating. He inhales once, slow and full, as if drawing a map of the move in his lungs, then anchors himself. There's a technicality here that matters and that the footage honors. Simple setup, correct bracing, a small intelligent shift rather than an explosive heave. Marco bends his knees in a controlled hinge, pulls his shoulders slightly back to create tension in his lats, and begins to lift, not with a staccato pull, but with a rolling intent that starts from ground contact and travels upward. The bar doesn't rocket up. It moves first in a whisper, a millimeter, then another, like a tide until the plate gets over the lip of its rest, and the whole rig gives a slight, undeniable shift. The first sound is a collective inhale from the room. For a beat, there is no laughter. Faces freeze, phones rise, eyes widen. The bar slides an inch, then more, until Marco has it shifted enough to pivot and roll it clear. It's not bodybuilder theater. It's a controlled relocation, the kind you do when you know how to make heavy things behave with leverage instead of spectacle. A pause. Then the room changes its tone, from jeering to a kind of stunned respect. A whisper spreads. Did he just? Cheer follows, small at first, then swelling. One of the big guys who had mocked him steps forward, hand extended. He doesn't shove him aside. He reaches out and claps Marco on the shoulder with the kind of warmth that had been missing minutes before. Samantha's phone continues to record. Anatoly laughs, genuinely this time, and says, "All right, that's not something you see every day." Marco steps back and catches his breath. He shrugs like it's no big deal, which is the most believable response to something you've practiced quietly for years. He wipes his palms on his pant leg and grins. "I do what I do," he says simply. "You work long time. You learn little things." They surround him now, respectfully curious. The dynamic has inverted. Those who were loudest now ask questions with lowered voices. "How'd you do that?" "What did you change?" Marco answers in his soft, spare way. "Feet, breath, make back tight, move slow." Short lines, like tools in a toolbox. Anatoly steps in, the host who's been narrating this day with a blend of irony and sincerity. He keeps it light, but truthful. That was technique. That was patience. Not a miracle. Not a gimmick. That's years of doing things the right way, even if no one was watching. He turns briefly toward the camera. No hard sell, just a moment of practical tenderness. Sometimes the quietest people show you the smartest moves. The moment is cinematic and entirely human. There's relief in the room, not because someone was proven right and someone else wrong, but because the public question of worth has been answered in the simplest way, through action. We cut to close-ups, the bar now repositioned, a few plates scuffed where fingers gripped them. Marco's hands with small calluses, a bead of sweat on his temple that glints in the overhead light. The camera lingers on faces, softened. The mockers are not humiliated. They are reflective. A kid who had whispered a cruel joke earlier now hands Marco a cold water bottle. "Sorry, man," he says. Marco takes it with a smile and a wink. "No problem," he replies. The host asks one last, important question, not for spectacle, but for the people watching at home. What should someone remember from this? Marco thinks for a second, then says, "Don't rush. Learn how to hold. Little things beat big talk." It's simple, but it carries the weight of lived experience. The line feels like a proverb that won't appear on a billboard, but it lands where it matters. Before the scene closes, Anatoly offers a small reminder about how to build the kind of practical strength Marco demonstrated. No magic promises, no guarantees, just a real pointer and a cue to safety. If you're inspired, great. Train smart. Find a coach. Progress with technique before plates. He nods toward the community he runs, not as a claim of instant transformation, but as a place where people learn fundamentals. If you want to start with basics that make heavy moves easier, check the Anatoly Power System in the description. It's where a lot of people learn how to lift without the drama. The camera pulls back as the gym's energy resettles. The big guys joke again, but now it's softer. Samantha chuckles and mutters, "We were wrong." Mr. Panadol offers a grin and a nod that reads like approval. Marco gathers his mop again and walks back to his station. He doesn't demand a spotlight. He doesn't leave with a trophy. He carries on. Someone calls after him, "You coming to leg day tomorrow?" He lifts a shoulder, half astonished, half entertained. "Maybe," he says. There's a transition here from mockery to mutual recognition. It's subtle, human, and entirely how real change happens, one small recalibration at a time. This is not a story about proving people wrong for the sake of it. It's a story about a quiet competence that reshapes a moment, and, along the way, reminds a room and an audience what strength really looks like. A few final beats before we sign off. The footage slows to show the aftermath. Two guys respectfully repositioning the bar together as a team. More hands than before. Samantha posts a clip online with no snark, just admiration. The regulars who had jeered now ask Marco about his routine. He laughs softly and gives the kind of answer that's both literal and metaphorical. "I clean, I fix, I lift when it need move. Same every day." Anatoly closes the segment with a concise takeaway that's neither preachy nor exploitative. This was a reminder that appearance isn't a full story. Technique and patience beat loud confidence a lot of the time. If you want to train smarter, start with the basics and protect your body. Marco's example isn't a shortcut. It's a lesson in consistency. And then one short, clear invitation. No hard sell, just an option for viewers who want to learn more. If you liked this, the Anatoly Power System links in the description. It's a place to learn fundamentals and train safely. If you try anything new, do it with guidance. The crowd disperses gradually, the gym resuming its rhythm. Marco pushes the mop bucket along, humming a tune, a small smile at the corner of his mouth. Underneath the comedy of the early scene, a deeper chord rings out. Respect is earned by action, not posture. Strength, as he demonstrated, can be quiet, unflashy, and utterly convincing. As the final shot fades, the vibe is warm and human. A room that has learned, in the space of a few minutes, to see someone differently. The mockery is no longer the main sound. It's a footnote. The janitor is still the janitor, still working, still unassuming, but something about the way people look at him has changed. The gym, for a moment, is better for it. If this clip made you smile, hit like and share it with someone who needs a reminder that consistency beats many forms of showmanship. And if you want to learn more about safe, fundamental training that actually moves weight without risk, check the Anatoly Power System link in the description. Train smart. Respect the process. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Sometimes the quietest hands move the heaviest things.